Yo, it's good to Skano from the gutter. We often talk about getting money, uh, the importance of financial freedom, financial security. Woo woo. But are we teaching our kids financial literacy? Because it's a difference. We talk about, the importance of, and it cannot be understated, man, the importance of acquiring generational wealth to be, pass it on. That's how you build a legacy. Well, partly. But if you don't have financial literacy, will you have any money to pass on? And if you cannot pass on financial literacy to your offspring, I mean, they'll end up back in the same situation that we started. You understand? It dawned on me, man. I had not even understood how credit worked until I had kids of my own. I used to think my father was the richest man on the planet, you know, and I seen dude make money in all different types of ways, and he put me on again, legal and illegal. So, a lot of us, you know, and not just in the hood, but that come from families that, on the lower end of the economic scale, we know how to hustle. It's not actually getting to money, but it's what you do with it, right? So, as far as financial literacy, man, because a lot of us will work all our life, and the more you make, the more you spend. But building generational wealth is not just going to, for the average person, it's not going to happen, unless you take certain steps. And this is things, like I said, man, you know, a lot of us come from a long line of financial illiteracy. Let's be real. Just not understanding how money works or how to make money work for you. And it may not be glamorous, man. We always talking about flipping shit. But you'd be surprised how much money you can garner off interest. You know, Getting into the stock market, it ain't got to be nothing overly, you know, something low risk, you know, but an even balanced payoff. So, investing in certain stocks that, like I said, low risk stocks, they may not be cheap to acquire because, the more stable a stock is, for instance, Sony or General Mills, those going to be on the high end, you know what I'm saying? But your returns are going to be solid, safe returns. Corporations that have been around for hundreds of years. And let your money work for you, man. And by the time, and this is what I try to tell my kids, man, when you're young, you're running into money, you run and you spend it just like that. And my father taught me about the importance of saving. But you remember the Bible story. I forget the name of the actual, character involved. But he had, it was a man of wealth. He had two sons. And he was going away on some trip. He was going to be away for some time, a couple years, whatever it was. Anyway, but so he gave each of his sons, I believe, it was 5 coins. We'll just say 5 pieces of silver. And one of his sons took the silver, his 5 coins, and buried it. You know, and the other, he went and got involved in, his own entrepreneurial. The father comes back, you know, X amount of time later, and he asks his sons, "Well, what happened to the money I gave you?" So the son that saved his money went and got it. Like, look, pop, look, I still have my 5 coins. You know what I'm saying? His father like, good for you. He asked the other son, "Now, what you do with yours?" He said, "Well, I took, my 5 pieces of silver and I bought 2 sheep and a chicken. And then I flipped them 2 sheep and them two, you know what I'm saying? And And now I have a small farm. And the father was elated. He gave him so much praise. And the other son walked off with his head in it. But the point I'm trying to make is, you know, saving money is good, man. But as inflation increases, that same money that you put up X amount of, if it's not invested in anything, it's actually worth less than what you understand what I'm saying? So that's the difference between having, and I was always not business mind. I was always a hustler, but having a business mind is something completely different. Understanding how to take money, more importantly, how to use other people's money. Because that's how a lot of people generate wealth. It's not their money that they're actually using. At first, you start up with your money, but at some point, you start using other people's money. And there you go. And not to say I've cracked the code. I've cracked the code, but I haven't actually, I'm nowhere near close to financial freedom. But these are things that we have to start indoctrinating into our kids, because a lot of times, like I said, we get so caught up in getting money, but okay, in one hand and out the other, at the end of the day, you still die broke. You know what I'm saying? So when they say work smarter, not harder, it's really about understanding how money works and how to make your money work for you. And that's what I'm starting to, you know, delve more into. So when I come up here and I got a sprawling estate. Y'all know I have figured out the master stroke. But on a different note, you know what, man? I think I'm done with pretty women. From now on, I'm only dating like funny looking women. And by funny looking, I mean maybe you got a long forehead or a long face or your eyes are like really far apart. Actually, I think that's cute. When chicks had eyes that be like, like an alien, one over here. One. You pretty chicks, man. Y'all nice to look at, man. You nice to look at. And all women aren't the same, but I'm starting to, because I had a type. I'm not gonna lie. Not as far as skin tone but I would say a standard. But you know what? Whose standard? Because beauty is in the eye, but I actually like funny looking chicks. I'm not gonna lie. And I've come to find out that the chicks that are less attractive, you know, they're less problematic. They're more humble, more down to earth. Y'all overly pretty chicks, the dimes. You even got eights now, that think and y'all just too problematic, too full of yourself. Not all of them, but a lot of y'all. And like I said before, man, everywhere they go, they got a pack of hound dogs sniffing up their ass. Get you a regular looking chick. Not to say niggas ain't so thirsty they don't. But I'm saying if she a little funny, like I only fucking with funny looking chicks now, man. You know, if your measurables are on point, I don't care. Long as you ain't looking like a man in the face. But as far as pretty chicks, I'm cool. I'm cool. Y'all, at the end of the day, man, and this may sound gutter, but I am what I am. At the end of the day, bro, um, when them lights is off, do it matter? Really? It all hit the same when them lights is off. Pretty, funny looking, when they facing the pillow, that's inappropriate. So, at the end of the day, man, to each their own. But yeah, like I said, you know, I even deal with a chick that got a funny looking body, as long as it look feminine. You know what I'm saying? if your top a little bit bigger than your bottom, you know, I'll work with it. You know what I'm saying? Not preferable, but I'll work with it. Get you a whole collage. Get you a whole collage of funny looking ones, man. And you in there. They'll take care of you for life. Low maintenance, you know, and they be grateful. You know, they be grateful. Maybe you shouldn't do the collage, you know. Let's get you one, maybe two. It is what it is, man. 216 Skano from the gutter.